Good morning. I call to order the March 5th, 2019 meeting of the Saline County Board of Commissioners. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick. Commissioner Sparks.
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
I ask that you please stand and join me in a flag salute followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We now move to the public forum where citizens may speak on county government, usually limited to 3 minutes, and items that not pertaining to today's agenda.
Norman Mantle, Salina. I would ask you gentlemen to go back and look 1 year ago today. Go look at the video, the statements that were made on this day 1 year ago.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one, I will bring it back to the commission for regular business. Item number 1.
Approve agenda for public forum as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda for the public forum as presented.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve today's agenda for the public forum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 2.
Approval of county commission minutes for February 26, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the county commission minutes of February 26, 2019 as presented.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the county commission minutes of February the 26th, 2019 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 3.
RFA 119-19, pictometry aerial photography flights. Judy Polinsky, GIS coordinator.
Good morning, Judy.
Good morning. I'm here to request permission to purchase the first of 2 pictometry aerial photography flights. It's a cost of $115,000, $587.92, and it's spread out over 3 years. They take 3 years payments. We wouldn't have to make the first payment till we receive the photography, which would be about June of 2020. The reason I'm asking now is because they have a special going on now where I can get an upgrade to the ortho photography at a lower flight, so it'd be a higher resolution and you could see better. This photography includes orthos, which is straight down overhead, and obliques, which are flown at a 40-degree angle, so that buildings and structures can be seen all the way around. And we currently, almost every department uses this photography. We've had it for the last 5 years. It's just time for a new flight. And a lot of them have committed to contribute money to purchase this. You won't have to come up with any money except out of their budgets. So. It includes this money includes the orthos, the obliques, and then a program called Pictometry Connect Explorer, which takes that photography, stitches it together into a mosaic, and then through the use of the software, you can see the buildings. And I brought Drew in here, my assistant, the other half of the GIS department, to give you a little demo. How many of you have seen pictometry? Oh, you all have. Okay. You probably don't need this demo, but we're going to show it to you anyway. We just show you a few of the things that you can do with it. The first one, when he brings it up, I'm just going to show you how you can look. This is Kansas Wesleyan, and he's going to show you how you can look at 5 different views of the building. And you can zoom in and out if you need to. This would be good if, God forbid, we have an active shooter or something, and the police can see all the exits and entrances of a building and plan what they're going to do. So it gives you a good view right now and in this future photography, the city and about a mile growth area outside of it will be flown at 3 inches, which is a really good, you can see a lot. It's a really good resolution. You can measure, he's measuring the height of that building, and it puts it on there, it's 27 feet. I think that's 27. Okay. And then you can measure length. He's going to go over to the football field, the new football field. And he's going to see if they did it right. We can accurately lay all of our layers on top of this software. We can add what we want to it. See how good he measured. Oop. 100, oh, a little over.
That could mean the difference in the game there, first and
Yeah.
10
That's
maybe.
true.
Let's go back at snap grid.
Okay. And then he's going to show you out in the country. This is a bridge. Oh, you can measure for, okay, he's going to show you how you can measure area on that piece of ground. This comes with lots of tools. And that gives you, that you can measure in different things besides acres. You can do square footage, you can do the metric. You just, it's in the settings. These are all the layers we currently have out there. So he's turned the floodplain on. And this can be accessed on your desktop. It's in the cloud, so you can also put it on your laptop, and I have it on my phone. So you can, it's a free app that you can put on your phone or your laptop or your tablet and take it with you in the field.
Is that open to the general public?
This is not, we get 250 named users, but
Oh, gotcha.
I do have, in the appraiser's office, I have a computer where the public can come in and log on to it and use it if they need to.
Okay.
The orthos will be out on all of our on the web, so they'll see those. Now he's going to show you a dual pane. So one of them is, the one without the football field is from 2014. The other one's from 2017 flight. And this is really handy because if we have an F4 tornado or higher, they will come back and they will fly the affected area for free. Has to be an F4. And then you can bring it up and you can compare, and that will help in figuring up your losses, how much area was affected and what was in there by parcels. Dickinson County, unfortunately, has used this, and they said they were very fast in getting back the damaged area photography to them.
Well, let me stop for just a second. In comparing the two football fields, one on the left and one on the right, how long ago was that picture taken, Drew?
The left
One on the right.
left was taken on 3/9/2017, and see the one on the right. This one was 5/14/2014.
2014?
So we're, basically, what you're saying is that the stuff that you have now is 5 years old.
The latest flight's 2017.
The one on the left is.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm following you now
Yeah,
then.
we try to fly every 3 years, so 2020 would be the next year. And I have already had people come in and saying, when are you going to fly again? Are there any questions that you want to ask me?
I'm sure there will be. First of all, for someone who was born in another century, this doesn't seem necessary to me, off the top of my head, all right? But then when I start clicking my gears in, I realize that times have changed. I look at $115,000, and that jumps out at me big time. But I realize it's over 3 years, and it's used by several different departments. It's just not I mean, I can say that it's not coming out of the general fund, but yet it is, because it's coming out of the total package, even though it's
Right.
departmentally, it is distributed through different departments. I want to also make it clear that the city of Salina pays $20,600 on this too. So that's, pretty close to 20% of it.
Well, actually, the city pays about 60% of they would only, if they did it themselves, they would only fly the city, and so they pay 60% of the city. And we pay.
The city pays 60%?
Of just the city photography, just the city photography. And then we pay.
Okay, well, I'm not following
the rest.
the math then, because it's $115,000 and it says here that the city pays $20,600.
Well, if they just flew the city, it would be more like 40, or it'd be 38,500 actually.
That would be the city's cost.
That would be
Correct.
the city's cost.
Okay, but of the $115,000 that they're asking for, the city is going to pay $20,000.
Right.
That's not 60%.
That's 60% of what they would, of the city itself, because if
But
they
it's
were
not
going to
60% of the total cost.
Correct, correct.
Thank you.
Because if they flew, they would only fly the city, they wouldn't fly every county,
I understand that.
yeah, or all the county.
You probably touched on it, but the weed department is pretty instrumental in the weed department. Road and Bridge, I've been with Darren before when we went out and surveyed some things in the county. And, I mean, he can touch a button and know exactly who the landowner is. It shows pictures of it, a quarter mile off the road, maybe a drainage issue, things like that. So it is pretty important. The appraisers department also uses this and that. And land fund records is $45,000, so that's pretty significant too. So, are there other comments or questions from commissioners?
Is this a classic example of Big Brother watching?
Last time they asked me if we could look in the windows. This company does have 1.5-inch photography. That's pretty scary. But I suppose, because if the appraisers use it, if they go out and look at a building and they happen to maybe think they didn't get the porch right or something, they can bring this up and accurately measure it without driving back out there. So I suppose, I don't think it's any different than a lot of the stuff that's out there nowadays.
Further questions or comments? I will open it up for the public to make comments on this because it does require an RFA.
Yeah, Norman Mantle, Salina, Kansas. The subject was brought up of the time frame. There is other photography available. This flight goes over the United States once a week, if not more frequently, and it'll get down to the 6-inch dimension. You can get this from the USDA. Mike, you might know about it. When we do surveying for agricultural purposes, it'll show you when you drilled your wheat, or you can go plant this week, and next week it'll show you the wheat's coming up already. They'll tell you which row is planting, which row is not come up. So this photography is available from the USDA or the NSA. So we could save some money by going to another department.
Can I answer that?
You may.
That's true. They
Please
do fly that, but they don't rectify it to make it so all of our layers will fit on top of it. Our parcels will fit on top, the boundary layers, our roads, everything will fit right on top of this because it's all rectified off of our LiDAR. And that's a big thing when we're using it
Okay,
for appraisal.
Thanks. I mean,
Yeah. And plus theirs is about 12 inches. Maybe they do 6-inch. I haven't used FSAs for a long time, but I do know our parcels don't fit on top of theirs very well.
okay, well,
Very accurately.
that's the difference. I learned that. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that you can also, you can Google up your own property and look
Right.
at it on Google, as far as that goes, but it's not going to give you the detail of what you're referring to, I'm certain. Does anyone else wish to address the commission? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the commissioners for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve RFA 119-19 as requested by staff.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 119-19 Pictorial pictometry aerial photograph flights. Is there any further discussion? Not, I'll call for the question, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion does carry.
Thank you.
We'll move on, you're welcome.
Thank you, Gene.
We'll move on to
Thank you,
item
Darren.
number 4.
RFA 107-19, road reclassification. Darren Fischel, Road and Bridge Administrator.
Good morning, Darren.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're here after tabling the action. 2 weeks ago, we did send letters to approximately 70 affected property owners. I have heard back from 8, and on number 1, which was Amos Road going south from the McPherson County line, Gary Gallan called me and said there's a man that hauls cattle, uses that road to haul cattle. He said it is also a mail route, and he uses it to go between his farms in McPherson County. On number 3, Lapsley Road from Gypsum Valley to Donmeyer Road, we did hear from the fire district, and we did make some resolutions to them. We will continue to provide access to those folks that live back in there. That is part of a state statute. That is something that we are required to do. So that still will happen. We will continue to maintain that road to that residence. Number 10, Tresson Road going south of Pleasant Hill. A gentleman named Jim Murray expressed concern that if he wanted to build a house, he would have to purchase gravel for the road. He was very understanding of our efforts to alleviate some of the cost. That land is also in the floodplain, and I pointed him out to him that he would have to do some other things, and he was just had some concerns about it, and he really didn't express one way or the other. Opposition or for, but he did want that noted. So I did tell him I would speak to you about that. Number 14, Rose Hill Road between Soderberg and Tyler Road. I got a call from a gentleman named Roger Hudson. He feeds cattle on Tyler, and his concern was that if it was to revert to earth, if he would be able to put some sand on it himself. That would be something he would have to come to speak to with the commission about. I cannot grant that authority to him to do that. Number 15, Stimmel Road, from a point 500 feet west of Headville Road. Joe Keir at the last commission meeting said his son might want to build a house on some property back there, so his concern was voiced that way. I did receive an email from Mr. Klaus's son, and he wanted to make sure that we would continue to maintain the road because of the cell phone tower there. And I advised Mr. Klaus that since it is a dead-end, low-volume road, the gravel on that road will take a long time to wear out. And so there still will be access for that cell phone tower. And it's probably about 300 feet west of the driveway entrance. So it's you're only talking about a little short stretch to get to that cell phone tower. Gypsum Valley Road from Country Club going south 1 mile to Crawford. I got an email from Chuck Henry, and he says his family currently is building a property back in there on Cloud Street, and they use that road extensively to move their equipment up and down that road throughout Saline County to stay off of the asphalt road.
Not on Cloud Street, but on Crawford Street.
Crawford, I'm sorry, excuse me. And number 17, Chris Dower came in and saw me. Chris Dower has had interest in that road since we built it up to provide a detour.
Darren, I don't see a number 17.
I'm sorry, I have the wrong. Number 1 at the bottom there, from earth to gravel. I apologize. Dry Creek Road from Hedberg to
Oh, this is on
Thorstenburg.
another page. Sorry about that. Okay. There we go.
And he expressed favor for this action, citing fire district concerns and maintenance should the asphalt need to be closed down. It does provide them with access to go around a good road. We did replace a bridge there. That was why we reshaped it and graveled the road to begin with. And so there are some other structures that he has concerned that if we ever have to close the road to do that, they would still have a way to get around.
Okay, First, I want to make it very clear that because I've gotten some calls on this, there's a misconception that perhaps we're closing some roads. That is not the case. We're not closing any roads. It's more of a paperwork function than it is anything, because most of these roads are going to continue to be maintained as they are at this time, or have been being maintained for the past however many years it has been. So it's more of a paper pushing thing than it is, but I do respect that. I would ask the commissioners, as far as tackling this situation, would you like to do this one road at a time, or is it an all or none thing? How do the rest of you feel about that?
If I may speak, Mr. Chair, I'd like to, if out of the 18 roads, and we've got 7 that have been brought forward to or looking at, and I look at this $10,000 to $15,000 savings we have, it's like, I just can't believe that over 18 roads that we look at it and going, okay, that's $10,000 to $15,000 a year. And like you said, if some of these roads haven't had gravel put on them for years or anything, is it, let's say we take these 7 and just pull them off and continue to maintain them as we are and leave them as they have been as a gravel road, and just put some gravel on them once in a while and keep them maintained and leave it for the concern of these people that have come forward, and all the other ones move to a gravel? Is that something to look at? Or I know that there is reasons of why you're wanting to do what we did, but I look at this, if it was $150,000 a year in gravel, but 10 or 15,000 years, I'm sure we could.
As far as the dollars, I can speak. In 2017, when I did a report over these roads and what it had cost us over 2 years, it was $11,000. I ran that same report here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was $33,000. So when I say $10,000 to $15,000, I'm low,
An average.
but we're still going to have the motor grader cost. So all I was doing was subtracting the aggregate, because it's still going to be maintained.
Any comments from this side of the commission?
Well, I know one problem when you have dirt roads out there is that when the weather's inclement and someone goes down it, they really destroy it. But as you're trying to set up your primary travel routes and do the mapping of the county, I understand why you want to clean all these up. If a road isn't being used, why do you continue to upgrade or maintain it as a gravel road? I, Mr. Chairman, would say the ones that had a concern, we set them aside and not take any action on them. The others that we didn't hear from, I would go with Road and Bridge and change their status from a gravel to a dirt.
Mr. White?
We, actually, I think this was brought before us, and we encouraged you to look at it, Darren, and I was hoping there's going to be more savings to the county and for the taxpayers, but it doesn't appear like that's the case. So, I would like to hear some public comment, though. It might help sway me.
Well, we're going to get to that, but right now we're still trying to figure out how we're going to tackle this, whether we're going to tackle it one road at a time or the entire area. I'm not ready to call for a vote yet, for certain. So that having been said, I'll weigh in with my comments, and my feelings are very similar to what Commissioner Weiss said. Those that we haven't heard from, obviously, because we did send out letters and everything else, so it's really not a concern to them. Those that have raised a concern, I think we need to listen to them. I think we probably need to pull them from the list, if you will. So that having been said, then I will open it up for public comment. If anyone has comments, and you would state your name and address, well, we'd appreciate it. So.
Morning.
My name is Chris Fritz. I do live at that location number 3 that you talked about. So after listening to what you said, I probably really don't have much to say. I mean, if you are going to keep the west side maintained as a gravel road, then I'm good with that. You know, if you want to continue on declassifying the east side, not a problem. Nobody really needs to be down there. It's just an ag road anyhow, so. But, I mean, if that's what you guys are going to do, I mean, I'm here to, you know, that sounds good if you're going to keep that west side maintained.
Okay, thank you for your
Thank you.
comments.
Craig Stevenson, 5668, 6696 South Donmeyer Road. Chairman Vidrickson, you just made a statement that I've got to say I was appalled. You said you sent out letters and you didn't have people show up. It's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. We've got livestock producers that have been trying to save their livestock and their income. And you make a statement like that, I think you need to rethink it and think about it hard.
Well, there are other ways, Mr. Stevenson, of
That
communicating
is
with
true, and many of these individuals are not accustomed to that form.
But their telephone number's right on there, and I've received calls, and everybody that I have received calls from, that was referred on to Darren, and they are going to be taken care of. So
Thank
all
you
it
for-
takes is one single phone call.
One
and
single phone call can get something taken off this map. That's amazing to me. I look over your map here, and as Chris said, he lives on that road, number 3. That road has not had county maintenance for years. I don't know where you're getting your information from, Darren, but that has not had aggregate put on it. It has not had a county maintainer put on it. Several of these roads are on closed bridges were closed, several years ago by a resolution that in that agreement, the county would maintain them at the condition they were at that time. The county has failed. You go up to number 15, which, yes, maybe has possibly been taken off the route at this time, but during the flooding in the 90s, the government paid to have that road rebuilt. I don't know what type of agreement that is. Number 5, east of Kip, was also one of those bridges that was closed. I've addressed number 3. Number 2 has a house on the other side, I understand, going into Dixon County. Number 1 was a mail route. I don't know who was contacted when these were originally done, but it's obvious that you did very little work, that staff did very little work. And that's epidemic of what we're seeing out there in the country right now with our county roads. Our county roads continue to become flatter and flatter and flatter. The water runs down the middle. Any aggregate that you talk about saving here is wasted in many other places by the maintenance we currently have on our roads in the county. I've spoken to many of you in the past, 3 of you at least. Excuse me, Jim, I didn't speak to you on this, but I've spoken to you on the county maintenance and our lack of crown in the roads, and it's ridiculous. All of us drive down these county roads recently. I know they've been bad, but your maintenance has been atrocious, and I don't know how we need to correct that. To me, it's a waste of county dollars, and if you'd like to ask me questions, I'd sure be happy to answer a few.
Questions, anybody?
I will comment. I'm more than willing to be available to hear any comments that you had for the other commissioners.
Thank you, Jim.
And I have listened, and I understand in the discussions ongoing.
You know, and I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to sit back. I'm not going to come in here because I did have a past role in this room. But as I look at the way our roads have deteriorated over the years, when I think of the county road system, whether earthen, whether gravel, or whether asphalt, it's the largest asset we have as a county. That is our highest dollar asset that we have, and it is in complete disrepair at this time. Our gravel roads, like I said, are terrible. And I'm not just talking from this winter and the extreme weather conditions we've had. This has been an ongoing thing. One of the things that also brought me, we've been working on trying to get a ditch cleaned out for 10 years. I started up through the process, started with the maintainer operator, went to his supervisor, went to Darren. This last spring, Darren told me, "You sure have been patient." My patience is over, gentlemen, and that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment?
Merle Nelson, 11357 South Centennial Road at Lindsborg. Item number 12, Rose Hill between K4 and Centennial. There's been a lot of problems on that road with water coming from the south section 33 that's really washed that road. We had a private contractor come in on Centennial Road and cleaned out that west side of that ditch. So all that water that was running over Centennial across section 33 over the Rose Hill Road, that's pretty much been eliminated. The new ditch that the residents paid for, the landowners, runs that water straight down into Dry Creek there. And that's really helping because that crossed over Centennial, if you know where I'm talking about.
I haven't noticed it since then, Mr.
Yeah, we've had a
Nelson.
lot of rain since, and that ditch is working. They spent quite a bit of money on the, the west side, but I hope you continue to maintain that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. And Darren, thanks for, yeah, I guess I was here 2 weeks ago and I don't have anything new to say. I do appreciate the fact that you tabled that and got it out, some message out to the landowners, and so they had opportunity to know what we were discussing here. Obviously, our concern was that item number 15 and that road closure and the bridge still, that maybe we're uncertain what should or shouldn't happen there on that. But I don't know if I have anything else to say. Just I know it's not an easy discussion to have when we take care of roads. I mean, obviously for agriculture, we need them in shape so we can move our products to market and get to pastures and fields and all that. In the meantime, while we hope that that's done as efficiently as possible, and so I understand that's a challenge, but be happy to answer any questions or in the future if I need to discuss anything, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keir. Anyone else wish to speak? I'll bring it back up to the commission.
Mr.
For
Chair.
comments and
Yes.
questions.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to say something in regards to this, is that after many discussions with the Road and Bridge Department and trying to get it to the point where we start bringing back the ditches a little bit at a time, and I know that they've talked to the grader operators, and I've driven parts of the county, and I've called Darren a couple times thanking him for, man, here's a road that they have pulled up, and I'm thinking, boy, they're really getting around to getting this done, and thinking that this is good. And not all the grader operators, I'm sure, have filled this, because I've traveled some of them and they're not. But some of the areas have started pulling the ditches up a little bit at a time and doing what we had talked about earlier. With what has just happened in the last month with the snows and the rains and everything else, those that I thought were really getting back in shape are just back to really not very good road right now. So, but I know that we've got to start pulling a little bit at a time and putting it back up there and putting it around, because after that one road, it was just almost completely underwater, but they had pulled it up, and 2 days after that fact, the middle part was already dry. I mean, it did work, but it's, man, when it does happen like the weather has been, but we need to get all the grader operators on the same page and start doing this a little time. But I got kudos that they have started the process and hope for the best. Yep. Thank you, Darren.
Mr. Chairman, real quickly, I think in past history, because of budget constraints and such, the Road and Bridge had to cut down in staffing and lost their, did you lose crews that used to do?
We did. We had a mini crew,
That used to do your
and that was their focus, was to clean ditches.
ditches and pull them, and so, I mean, we kind of inherited some of this budget issue of past, where you've lost the people to do this type of maintenance and such, and I want to let the public know it is in our minds and on the table that these improvements be made, and we've had a lot of heated discussions at study sessions in regards to whether roads are crowned properly, ditches that need to be groomed and maintained and such, and the public does have our ears when it comes to that.
It's kind of ironic. I've got one neighbor that says the roads are the best they've been in years, and of course the next neighbor says they're the worst they've ever been. So it's a subjective call, and Mom Nature's plays a big role, no different in the agriculture sector, and it's difficult. It really is.
Well, we're a little bit off subject here. You know, we're talking about these requests for action on these particular roads, and now we're branching out into some other things. So, and I do know that they need to be taken care of, and I would suggest, Darren, that you certainly set up a schedule with Mr. Stevenson and see if you can address some of his concerns, and you know, let the commission know how that is going along. I think we've got there are 3 parts to this that are listed here, and I'm going to add a 4th. But part 1 is to remove RFA 107-19 from the table for consideration. Option number 2 is to approve the RFA 107-19. The third option is to table it for another week of action, which I think that one can probably come right off there. And the other option that I would like to see is that we could remove some of these and keep some of them. So there's our 4 options from my way of thinking. And if somebody wants to add something to that, please do so. Further comments or someone to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to deny RFA 107-19 regarding road reclassification.
Is there a second? I will second that motion. Further comments? It's been moved and seconded that we remove RFA 107-19 from the table for consideration and possible action. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
I'm not clear on the motion, sir.
Well, I thought you was.
I moved to deny RFA 107.
That's part 1.
Reject.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm clear on the motion. Thank you.
All right,
Aye.
and that is the same as part 1. Maybe there was a word in there that was different than and that was to deny, and I may have said remove. So there's the same thing.
Basically, yes, sir.
Is that how you've got it, Cheryl? Okay, it's been moved, seconded, voted upon, 4-0 is the outcome. So it will be removed from the table for consideration. Thanks, everyone, for your participation coming in, and we'll move on to item number 5.
RFA number 112-19, bid award for half-ton pickup. Darren Fischel, Road and Bridge Administrator.
Morning again. This is for the award of purchase of one new 2019 model crew cab half-ton pickup with a 6.5-foot bed. Sealed bids were opened on February 22nd, 2019 at 4 p.m. at the City County Building. Bids were sent to Marshall Motors of Saline, Kansas, Midway Motors of McPherson, Kansas, Mel Hamilton Ford, Wichita, Kansas, Long MacArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas, Shawnee Mission Ford, Shawnee, Kansas, Bennett Autoplex, Salina, Kansas, Conklin Cars, Salina, Kansas. Notice to bid was also advertised in the Salina Journal under the announcements in the classified ad section with directions to the webpage for specs and contact information, directing them to the Administrative Resource Center. 5 bids were received and are as follows. Midway Motors for a Ram 1500 quad cab from McPherson, $23,227. Long MacArthur Ford F-150 extended cab from Salina, Kansas. Option 1 with a V8 motor was $24,220.12. Option 2 V6 motor was $22,647.12. Marshall Motors from Salina, Kansas had an option 1 of a quad cab, which is $22,077. Option 2 was a crew cab for $21,507. And the state bid, which is currently has the government contract, is Davis Moore, and their price would be $22,613.92. The bid documents were checked and some to be found in compliance with the specification. This vehicle replaces the engineer's pickup. This vehicle is used for him to inspect road concerns, evaluate construction progress, and travel to area highway members' meetings. The current vehicle is a 2006 Dodge Dakota with 186,000 miles. This vehicle is at the end of its service life. It currently needs repairs that are beyond the value of the vehicle, and it will be sold at a Purple Wave auction. The Ram truck from Marshall Motors meets all the specs except for the gross vehicle weight of 8,000 pounds. We stated a gross vehicle weight of 8,000 pounds and stated half-ton pickup. None of the manufacturers make a half-ton truck that meets this specification. Alternatives for action would be to accept the bid for the 2019 crew cab two-wheel drive half-ton full-size pickup with a low bid of $21,507 from Marshall Motors, Salina, Kansas. B would be accept the bid of the 2019 two-wheel drive quad cab half-ton pickup from Marshall Motors for $22,077. C, accept the bid of the 29 extended cab two-wheel drive half-ton truck from Long MacArthur of $22,647.12. Reject or rebids and rebid would be option D. Staff recommends accepting the low bid of $21,507 from Marshall Motors, Salina, Kansas. This item was budgeted in our capital outlay for 2019. The current unencumbered balance in that account is $127,186. This truck purchase would subtract $21,507 from that, with an ending balance of $105,679. It was moved up. This was moved up from the 2020 EIP since there were enough funds and the shop truck was purchased last year. Since we had enough funds last year, we moved up the shop truck. This year, we'd like to move up the engineer's truck because we only purchased one water tank slide-in, and we had budgeted $30,000 for this.
I guess I'm a little bit confused when you said all the specifications have been met, yet further down it says none of the manufacturers make a half-ton that meets the spec. So
that was the exception, and they all had that same exception. And so we need to change our spec. If they aren't making a half-ton that weighs 8,000 pounds, then we should change our spec.
I noticed that this is a two-wheel drive pickup.
It is.
I mean, is that not necessary that we have a four-wheel drive?
It is not necessarily that this vehicle be a four-wheel drive. It just creates more maintenance, and typically where their projects are, they are within where they can get. We don't usually build bridges on earth roads or things like that, so he doesn't have to go out late at night. So it's not really as weather-dependent a vehicle as mine needs to be.
And am I understanding that this is for the engineers
Yes.
department?
Yes.
Further questions from commissioners?
I have two. Do you know why Long MacArthur didn't quote a price on a crew cab?
There is, we said extended cab. Now, when you say extended cab, that means different things to different manufacturers. Ford makes what they still call an extended cab that doesn't have a door. It has a suicide door that opens in the back. Dodge, which is the Ram truck, does not. They're what they call a quad cab, is a short four-door. Okay, and their crew cab is a long four-door with more room in the back for people. The crew cab is smaller.
But yet it was cheaper than the quad.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't understand that, but it was, yes.
Okay, and last question. Do you know what Davis Moore's equipment was?
It would have been equipped the same. Andrew checked.
What were they bidding?
I'm sorry, they were bidding. They were also, Davis Moore is a Dodge dealer.
They're also a Chevrolet dealer. I think that's what you're asking.
I just didn't know what vehicle we were getting a
doesn't make
price
any
on.
difference.
I believe
I mean,
it
we're
was
not-
a Dodge Ram that Davis Moore had the state contract on.
Questions, anyone? Public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to Marshall Motors for a Dodge Ram 1500 crew cab in the amount of $21,507.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 112-19 bid award for a half-ton pickup. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. Item number 6.
RFA number 113-19, bid award for crew cab pickup. Darren Fischel.
This is award the purchase of one new crew cab 1-ton pickup with utility bed. Sealed bids were opened on February 22nd, 2019 at 4 p.m. at the City County Building. Bids were sent to Marshall Motors, Salina, Kansas, Midway Motors, McPherson, Kansas, Mel Hamilton Ford, Wichita, Kansas, Long MacArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas, Shawnee Mission Ford, Shawnee, Kansas, Bennett Autoplex, Salina, Kansas, Conklin Cars, Salina, Kansas. Notice to bid was also advertised in the Salina Journal under the announcements in the classified ad section with directions to the web page for specs and contact information directing them to the Administrative Resource Center. One bid was received and is as follows. Long MacArthur Ford for F-350 with utility bed, $40,375.99. Alternatives for action would be to accept the bid from Long MacArthur Ford for the 1-ton utility bed pickup for $40,375.99. Reject bid and rebid. Staff recommends accepting the bid from Long MacArthur Ford. This vehicle will replace a 2009 truck with 96,255 miles. It will be moved to that pickup will be moved to the truck driving crew. The crew currently used will go down to another crew. A 2004 model that the truck driving crew currently uses will be sold on Purple Wave auction, and it has 140,687 miles. In our we did have this budgeted for 2019. So with the purchase of the other truck, our unencumbered balance is $105,679. With the purchase of this truck, which is $40,375.99, that will leave remaining funds in the capital outlay of $65,303.01. We had $65,000 budgeted for this expenditure.
My question would be, for those of us that don't understand this necessarily, utility bed, is that one with the toolboxes on the side?
Yes.
That kind of
Yes,
thing?
sir. It is.
Is it ever possible that you can buy that utility bed separately and direct from someone else, or to lessen the cost or not, or?
You know, we have looked into that, and the price is really, it's a wash, but then when you start adding our time to put it on and take it off, it's cheaper to buy one with
And then part
We
of
have looked at it
part of
that
my
way.
thought process there was the fact that perhaps no one else had that utility bid, but they may have had the truck, but not the utility bid. And that was
the
where I'm
utility
coming
bid will
from.
come from the same supplier that everybody bids. But it all depends on whether, and I'm not making an assumption because I did get some calls from other dealers, and the utility bid that we spec'd, they did not know whether it would fit on their truck chassis. They did not have the information from the truck manufacturer, so that's why they didn't bid.
Okay. Questions from commissioners? Comments?
One question, Andrew, I assume there's no state contract?
That is correct. For the F-350, there's no state contract.
Public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to Lon MacArthur Ford for the Ford F-350 in the amount of $40,375.99.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 113-19 bid award for a crew cab pickup. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion does carry. We will move on to item number 7. Darren again. Oops, excuse me, Cheryl.
RFA number 114-19, bid award for mower deck. Darren Fischel.
And Darren again.
This is the award to purchase of one new Batwing mower deck. Sealed bids were opened on February 22nd, 2019 at 4 p.m. at the City County Building. Bids were sent to Straub International, Saline, Kansas, Can-Equip, Wamego, Kansas. Then actually Prairie Land Partners found out through visiting our shop that we were bidding. That's why they bid one also, and they are from Abilene, Kansas. Notice to bid was also advertised in the Salina Journal under the announcements in the classified ad section with directions to the web page for specs and contact information, directing them to the Administrative Resource Center. 2 bids were received. One from Straub International for a Land Pride RCB 6610 that meets the specifications for $18,957. Prairie Land Partners bid a Land Pride RC 5610 that did not meet our specs for $14,995. The bid documents were checked, and the mower deck bid from Prairie Land Partners did not meet the specifications set forth in the bid documents. The alternatives for action are to accept the bid from Straub International of $18,957, accept the bid from Prairie Land Partners of $14,957, reject all bids and rebid. Staff recommends accepting the bid from Straub International, Salina, Kansas. The equipment they bid meets all the specs. It is the same brand and model of our current mower inventory, which means spare parts and tires we currently carry are interchangeable. Our capital outlay currently has a balance of $65,303.01. This mower deck purchase of $18,957 would leave remaining funds of $46,346.01. We had $19,000 budgeted for this expenditure.
Can you elaborate briefly what Prairie Land and their Land Pride did not meet the spec, what that was?
It is a step model down. There was some difference between the drive lines and the tires.
Okay. Questions, comments from the commissioners? Any comments from the public?
Quick,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, quick question. I mean, it's like the drive line, is that the PTO shaft and all
Yes.
that coming back?
Yes.
So it is actually not the same as the other model?
Right, quickly, maybe not as heavy.
Okay.
Heavy duty equipment. These mowers take a beating.
Okay, but I just, so the one is not interchangeable with the other? I mean, you say you have spare parts for
I would say it's probably a 90% thing.
Okay.
That 90% would be interchangeable and maybe 10 wouldn't. One of the other things too is, by not meeting our spec, and accepting that bid, I think it compromises the integrity of the bid process. It doesn't, the other dealer could have said, well, we'll bid something that they don't want to, just because it'll be cheaper.
And the reason why I ask, because it's kind of like the situation on the Ford, or the pickup, it's like, because it doesn't meet $8,000, it didn't meet our spec, but we went ahead and bought one.
Right.
And I didn't know if this here was just, it's the same model, except maybe just a little different here. So, I mean, if it's still both 3 wings and it both does the same thing, except a different wheel and a different deal, and the rest of it's the same, do we save $4,000 here or not? So, but that was why I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Further comments?
Thank you.
Would entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we award bid to Straub International in the amount of $18,957.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 114-19 bid award for the mower deck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8.
RFA number 115-19, bid award for bituminous crack sealing project.
Good morning, Justin.
Good morning. Okay, so this first project I have is for you to consider and award the bid for bituminous crack sealing. Sealed bids were opened February 25th at 11 o'clock. One bid was received, and you should have a bid tabulation of the details in front of you. It should look something similar like this. On the very top, it has the 2019 bituminous crack seal.
Okay.
You meant to look at that. So, and what I did on this on the bottom, there I put the prices that were awarded in 2018, and then up on top is the 2019 prices with my estimate. So there's 2 alternatives here: is to accept the bids or reject the bids. The crack sealing is on the chip sealed roads, will be completed by June 25th, and then all the remaining roads will be completed by November 25th, towards the end of the year. However, I made it pretty clear that there will be no work on the paved roads, during winter weed harvest. And on the back of the bid tabs, there's a map, just for your information, of all the roads that we're going to chip seal, or I'm sorry, crack seal this year. So the staff recommends to accept the bid from Pavement Pros LLC for the amount of the estimated work to equal $95,732. That's the total bid, but what you actually award is the unit prices for the material. And so we've got for the narrow crack sealing, we've got an estimated quantity, and they provide the bid price is a unit price per pound. And it's the same thing for the wide crack sealing material. It's bid on a per pound basis, and then traffic control. And so how this process works with the contractors, we're not exactly sure how many pounds we're going to need out there in the field. We get an estimate for the number of cracks out there, but we don't know how deep that crack's going to go, and so that's why you award a unit price on this, and we've got to balance out the price of the material that we're putting in the ground and the cracks with the budget that we have, for this here. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. The budget impact, so funds for this project will be from the account of the contractual asphalt work. This account has a current balance of $1,926,970. Other contractual work will be taken from this account will include the chip seal contract and the hot mix asphalt contract. So we've got to take those 3 processes, and try to balance them all out to stay within the budget of the contractual asphalt work.
Who was this contract awarded to last year?
It was the same company, the Pavement Pros. They're out of McPherson. So there's just not a lot of contractors out there that does this type of work. We did send them the request for bid to, it was several companies. Let me just see here. To 11 different companies, that they might do it, or they do it on a pretty small project basis. And Pavement Pros were the only company that provided a bid. And this was the same things last year. They were the only bidder last year.
I noticed that we're looking at, about a 15% price increase.
Yes, yeah, and I asked about that. They said the price of asphalt materials has gone up. And that's the big reason for the jump in price.
Okay, and this $95,000, $95,732, that's not what we're really approving, is that correct?
Correct. What you approve is the unit prices.
The $211 and the $1.50.
Correct, as well as the traffic control of $23,712. So that's what you approve, and then we use those numbers, and we try to estimate some quantities, what we think we're going to use. We use those numbers, and then with the material that we put in the ground out in the field, in the cracks, and try to balance that out.
So in other words, this could exceed that $95,000 or $95,700.
Yes.
And
There's a pretty good chance that number will not be the number we pay the contract. It might be less. We might get out there
Sure.
and the cracks aren't as deep, and there's not as many of them out there as what we were estimating. But crack seal, in my opinion, crack seal is the most important thing you can do to a road.
Sure.
I would rather, spend more on crack seal and take off, a mile or two of chip seal. The crack sealing is the best thing you can do to keep the water out of the base.
so, the account balance, that you said on the budget impact, that there's a $1.9 million in that account.
Yes.
And so $95,000 isn't going to necessarily adversely affect that
No.
budget impact there. And I would assume that, let's just assume that we do exceed the $95,000. It's not like it's going to be $1 million all of a sudden. It's going to be,
Correct.
a few $1,000s, I would presume.
Yes, and we have to balance this out with the chip seal and the overlay, so we don't exceed that 1.9.
Okay. Further questions, comments from commissioners?
Justin, how do you monitor the product that's being used? That's what you're actually buying, or what we're bidding is the product, correct?
Well, we're purchasing an installed product. Okay, and so, for the narrow crack sealing is the one bid item. That is putting that product down into the cracks, or where they routed it out and we put it in. And it's, if you go out there and look at, I guess, a way to monitor it is, if your cracks they're typically working cracks. They're moving with the temperature. But if a poorly done crack seal is if you put in a crack seal and then that summer the material falls down through the cracks, and that's on a wide basis. You might have it on a crack or two, but if it's across all the way down the road, then that's a poor job of doing a crack seal. Pavement Pros I went out and drove the roads that they did last year, and they do a very good job. And it's a nice, clean product, because you don't also want the crack material up above the crack, for traffic to be driving on it and tracking it. And they do a good job of getting it routed out and making sure that the sealed material is just below the surface of the road.
Further comments?
Does our staff kind of inspect this while they're doing this?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
I don't remember. Did I ask for public comment? Would there be some public comment?
Yeah, Norman Mantle Saline, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the fact that's in an open-ended contract. Where do they stop? I'm a contractor. Hey, you give me a blank check.
Well, that blank check is not going to go to the contractor. That blank check is in the hands of the engineer, who's going to determine how much product he's going to buy. That's where the buck's going to stop.
Well, correct, and we're out there and we tell the contractor, what cracks to seal and what cracks not to seal. We're out there in the field with them doing this. It's not an open-ended check. They're gonna
understand.
seal the roads where we tell them to seal.
I understand. That,
I still see abuse here.
okay. Thank you for your comments. Bring it back to the commission for action.
Justin, quick question. Seeing as how we just spent mega bucks for aerial photography, can we just fly over these and inspect the cracks with our new photography?
In
Instead of-
2020.
Instead of having a chief crack inspector?
Having the 6-inch resolution, we might be able to do that. I don't know. We'll have to see. And some of those cracks you can see pretty good. From aerial photography, some you can't. But that is definitely a tool to we can go out there and we'll probably still do a visual inspection and try to get an idea. But if we're a little bit unsure, we can always pull up the photography and check those cracks too.
Technology at work. Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I move we award bid to Pavement Pros LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 115-19 bid award for bituminous crack sealing project. Further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item number 9.
RFA 116-19, bid award for CMP, Justin Mader, County Engineer.
Go ahead, Justin.
Okay, this request for action is to award bid for aluminized Type 2 corrugated steel pipe and pipe arch with end sections. Sealed bids were open on February 25th, 2019 at 11 o'clock. 2 bids were received. And the attached bids, you can see in the request for action there, one was from Wellborn Sales Incorporated for $45,975.70. And the other one was from J&J Drainage with a total bid of $48,930.83. The purchased pipe and end sections will be placed in our inventory to be used on an as-needed basis. I did in front of you, you should have I copied the bid from Wellborn Sales, and it just lists all the pipes with the end sections. That was part of this bid. The alternatives for this would be to accept the bids as indicated in the staff recommendation, or we can reject the bids. Staff recommendation is to accept the bid from Wellborn Sales Incorporated in the amount of $45,970.70. The funds to purchase the pipe and end sections will be taken from account the CMP. This account has a current balance of $50,000. And so the bid fits within the account budget.
How many, here we go. How many feet are we talking about total, or how many numbers of, are these various numbers? Okay, here, I finally found the sheet that it's on.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, the first, from left to right on the table is you've got your bid items, and that's just your pipe. So you got 18-inch, and that's the diameter. Your ACSP, that's your aluminum corrugated steel pipe. And then and I'm just doing the very first one with 24 foot, so that pipe is.
Okay, I don't expect you to go
Okay.
through those. I didn't have this piece of paper in my packet, so I found it up here.
Sure, okay.
So it does explain it, so you will be getting all of these pieces and total feet into your inventory.
Yes.
Okay, questions from anyone else, commissioners?
And I will go ahead and bring up the question, because I did talk to Justin about this, is that, back in my days, understanding is that we're purchasing aluminized corrugated steel pipe, but we're buying galvanized end sections. And in KDOT's recommendations, the KDOT really recommends not to mix and match your deals. But in visiting with Justin a little bit about that, they have some, like I called KDOT, and KDOT says that they do this, but in certain areas of the state that doesn't work very well, because it helps deal. But I just wanted to note that, that KDOT recommends not to mix and match your deals, but we've done it in the past, I guess, so.
Further comments from commissioners? Public comment?
Yeah, Norman Maligan. Why are we using just luminized material? Can't we use steel that's coated? We can buy rebar that's plastic coated and it has a durability of a long time. That, I've worked with that aluminized material and I'm not using it anymore. I'm taking my material to Oklahoma City and I either have it ceramic coated, yeah, I know it's higher cost, or you can have it jet coated. I see where you're coming from on the cost, but that's just what I would like to ask the question, of longevity versus cost. So,
I mean, that's really what it's about. I mean, if we're starting to buy a steel coated, and are you talking about like a steel coated as far as like a steel pipe, but it coated in, I mean, because that's what this is. This is a steel pipe coated in aluminum.
okay.
Or it's right. So it's not aluminum pipe. It's steel pipe that's been aluminized. Another option would be to buy steel pipe that's been galvanized. And for the soils in this areas where KDOT recommends in all their projects, they require aluminized coated steel pipe.
Okay, because I'm taking some pipe to Oklahoma City this weekend to have it coated, but you know, it's going to cost more. I understand we got to keep the cost down, but I just wanted to ask the question. Thanks.
Thank you.
One question, Chairman. We do this every year. You replenish your stock for what's expected to be used. Did you run any price comparatives to last year to see where these bids came in compared to last year?
No, I didn't.
Anyone else? I will take a motion. Or is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to Wellborn Sales, Inc. in the amount of $45,975.70 as requested by staff.
Second the motion.
Been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 116-19 bid award for CMP for Wellborn Sales. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 10.
RFA number 117-19, bid award for traffic line paint and glass beads. Justin Mater.
Justin again.
Again, she's kind of like Darren. Okay, so this request for action is to award a bid for waterborne latex traffic line paint and reflective glass traffic beads. Sealed bids were open on February 25th at 11 o'clock in the morning. 8 bids were received. And as with the crack seal, you should have in front of you the bid tabs with on the top left-hand corner there, traffic paint and glass beads, so when it's labeled. And so down again, as I did with the other one, down below is you can see the prices that we paid for 2018. So you can kind of have a comparison. And then up on the top is the cells highlighted in yellow is the low bid. So there's 2 alternatives for action. One would be to accept the bids as indicated in the staff recommendation or to reject the bids. Staff recommendation for the yellow and white traffic paint. Staff recommends to accept the low bid from Enos Flint Paint in the amount of $9.49 per gallon. And that's with the estimated quantities that we have. That's will give a combined white and yellow total of $61,685. For the reflective glass traffic beads, staff recommends to accept the low bid from Potter's Industries for the amount of $0.317 per pound. And with the estimated pounds of beads that we have that'll have a total of $12,680. So if you combine all the materials together, the paint and the beads, we've got a combined bid of $74,365. Staff recommends that the funds to purchase the traffic paint will be taken from the paint and beads line item. This account has a current balance of $80,000. Okay, so with this material again, you award the unit price, and not the total bid. And then however many pounds, because I've already had the paint striping guys out there ask if they can get another tote of white. Now that we know what the price of the paint is as well as the beads, they're requesting that we purchase another tote of white and another 2,000 pounds of glass beads to go on top of that white paint. And these quantities that we put together, the 3,000 gallons of yellow and the 3,500 gallons of white, what we try to do is we've got to stripe all of the roads that we chip seal and overlay. That's kind of our base, what we've got to do. And then what we try to do then is to repaint the lane line, which is a white line on the edges of the road, as much as we can within budget. It doesn't quite get over the entire county, but we do the best we can with the prices that were bid.
I got a question of staff. We've got two different items here from two different companies. Should we have two different RFAs or not?
I don't see a need for that. This covers both at the same time.
And it's bid together, because there's some companies that they supply paint and beads. Some companies only do paint, and some companies only do beads. And so it's one bid opening. And in there, it states that, Saline County has the right to award the bids to a separate supplier.
Okay. Comments from the commissioners?
Just an observation that the low bid from 2018 did not bid this year.
No, they did not. And you see there's quite a bit of a price difference.
Yes.
And actually I've had to talk with staff and trying to get the story here. But what happened is the Midwest Striping bid a material that did not meet the spec. And so I'm assuming the engineer at that time talked with the supplier, and the supplier chose to he had the option. Number one, we throw his bid out and we don't purchase his material, or we purchase their material at the unit price that they bid. And so they elected to supply material that met the spec with the price that they bid. And they probably did. I'm assuming they made a little bit of money off of it, otherwise they probably wouldn't have done this, but probably not much. And they chose not to bid this year.
Thank you.
Further comments? Public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commissioner for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to Enos Flint Paint in the amount of $61,685 for traffic paint.
Second motion.
And are you going to include the other portion of the award in your motion?
Yeah, did we need to break up the vote?
That's what I asked, and they said it can be in
All
one.
right, sorry, I'll do that. Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid to Potter's Industries, Inc. in the amount of $12,680 for glass traffic beads.
My second still stands.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 117-19 bid award for traffic line paint and glass beads, Ennis Paint, Flint Paint, and Potter Industries. Further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Between you two guys this morning, you spend an awful lot of money.
That we did.
Just don't go overboard.
No. Well, we're not providing a service if we're not spending money.
A recommendation to staff is when an RFA comes to us, if it's one action, we don't break it up into two actions, I guess. Because we had two different actions here that went under the same motion. Does that make sense?
You say, so in the future, you'd like it broke up into two different requests
Or
for,
make one action out of, I don't know, the confusion on the part of myself as to how it should have been done. Because it's listed as two actions here, and I was doing one action when I should have.
sure. And I can break it up next year into two different requests for actions. That's not a big
Were
deal.
these two companies piggybacking with each other on a bid?
No.
That's where I'm getting at. If they were coming along and Ennis says, we're going to bid the traffic paint and our glass traffic beads are going to be done by Potter Industries, then I would consider that as one. But if they weren't doing it jointly, then there's probably, that's just my thinking, so.
Sure, it's not a big
I
deal.
don't know much about the government, obviously. So, any other business to come before us? Anybody have any announcements? New business, old business? We will have a second meeting following the short break. So I would take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.